Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse, the Friday, January 10th edition of the Daily Pulse. I'm your host, Teddy Panos, coming here from the WellPoint Studios here in beautiful, historic downtown Lowell. And finally, the wind has broken. It's kind of disappeared, so it's actually bearable to be outside. And of course, my guests here in the studio this morning, you recognize them, the Pod Squad.
Yay.
Mikaela Hondros-McCarthy, Mike Bacigalupo, the Hyphen and Batch here in the WellPoint Studios for your first Daily Pulse, but our probably, I don't know, what is it, 50th Pod Squad or whatever the hell we've done all this time.
We've done a lot, yeah.
We've done a lot. This is nice. I love the Daily Pulse being back.
Yeah, it's been good this week. Have you listened?
This is a little bit, yeah.
I've heard them all. It's been good.
Yeah, I don't watch, like, as I'm watching the numbers come in and stuff, people like, I don't want to say binge watching, but you're getting people watching like 2 or 3 episodes in a day because those numbers are jumping. So, you know, as we say, news, information, and sometimes entertainment. Today will be entertainment on your schedule, not ours.
It's great. Like, I listen on the way home, you know, hear the whole thing. It's been good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I want to get into the daily habit, though, because it reminds me of when it used to be daily. Yeah.
The radio days.
Back when they had a radio.
Back when there was a radio. Back when there was a morning show that actually focused on Lowell and beyond. Well, I'm glad to have you guys here. Glad to have all of you here with us as well in the WellPoint Studios. WellPoint is the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. We thank our friends at WellPoint. Want to thank Real Estate Ray Booten, sponsor of the Daily Pulse. Real Estate Ray Booten, licensed realtor in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, certified appraiser in both of those states as well. If you're looking to buy or sell a home or a commercial property, Real Estate Ray Booten is your man. And he's got a hot property coming on the market within a week. We'll tell you about that. Watch for it on Inside Lowell. Tell you about the rest of our podcast sponsors as well, but we turn to the Pod Squad, and it's time to get down to business, guys. Lots of stuff going on in the city, lots of stuff going on in the world around Lowell, and we're here to keep our pulse on it all. Let's start locally, if we can, for a second.
When are the beans coming? Beans booting? Some beans from Cody?
It's on the market again.
I know, I saw that.
The building, the business, right? I think.
Yeah.
So
by the way, I'm sponsored by the Coffee Mill.
The Coffee Mill Emporium. Who are you sponsored by, Mick?
My home coffee. It's a mix of dandelion and coffee.
I'm sponsored by Washington Savings Bank. I get a mug.
You love that mug, don't you?
I love it. This is great.
Yeah.
You can put anything in there. Nobody knows.
There you go.
Nobody knows about the vodka and soda I'm having.
This is like a soccer mom one. Like this is filled with vodka.
You are definitely
or hockey.
You are a soccer mom. Batch.
I need a sponsor. I'm a free agent, everybody.
There's going to be some green company out there that will be willing to sponsor sustainability.
I'll work on it.
Right? Let's go.
Get Exxon.
Let's start. First, local story. We just put it up on InsideLowell.com. Belvedere, ground zero in the Lowell City Council election. Shock, right?
Oh my God!
But this year, given the fact that the district councilor in Belvedere, Cory Belanger, always seems to be in a neck and neck battle on election day. But now the controversial process that led to his appointment instead of a special election to represent District 3, rumors out there about candidates ready to jump in the race, thinking about jumping in the race. The first one has officially pulled paperwork. Belinda, I apologize if I don't get your name right. I believe it's Belinda Juran. I believe it's how it's pronounced, Juran. She set up her campaign, her committee with the Massachusetts Office of Campaign and Political Finance. She's running. She responded to my email last night, and we put the story up this morning with why she's running. Talk a little bit about her background and stuff. So we have our first declared candidate, challenger for Cory Belanger. We have another one who says he's running, Ronald DeBerto. So remember when they said, well, if you want to apply for the position, submit your resume or whatever, or your name, and come to the city council.
Oh, I remember that. So
there were 9 people who put their name in. Cory Belanger, Belinda Juran was one. Ronald DeBerto was one, but he did not speak to the council. He did, however, shortly after the appointment of Cory Belanger, he started talking on Facebook that he was a candidate. So I reached out to him, and he did confirm that he's running.
Okay.
But he hasn't taken any of the other steps, nor has he responded to any follow-up things. So for now, he's kind of on hold.
Did this Belinda lady speak at the council meeting? I don't know.
She did. They were. She was one of the folks who spoke at the meeting. Riddy Young spoke at the meeting.
I remember that.
And I did speak with Riddy Young, and he's kind of taking a wait-and-see approach. From
To
what
see
he
who
says
else
to me.
throws their
Because
hat
I
in the
want to
ring.
see he goes in there. I get the hunch he doesn't want to run, but if no candidates that he is happy with run, then I'm pretty sure he'll throw his name in at that point. But he says right now he's looking to see who the candidates are, and if there's a good one, he's going to support them, help them. He said he's looking for a candidate that puts their city's interest before their self-interest. Erin Gendron, who also spoke that night.
Because there's no self-interest in being a politician. Yeah, what the hell does that even mean?
I think it means that he doesn't really want to run, but if he thinks he can win the race, that he will.
It's got nothing to do with his own
He
self-interest.
will
right?
run.
Come on.
Erin Gendron is another
It's
name that's
selfless.
bandied about. Daughter-in-law of Steve Gendron, very well-known name, very well-known, large family here in the city of Lowell. She would be a legitimate contender in that race. No response yet from her, but we're hoping to hear pretty soon. But she also spoke at that meeting.
Oh, yeah.
The folks who spoke were Corey Belanger, Belinda Duran, Erin Gendron, and Riddy Young.
Okay.
So where's this? I don't think I know this Belinda lady though.
She's, from what I could gather, she and her husband moved to Lowell in somewhere around 2020. She worked for 2 decades at a Washington, D.C. law firm.
Boy.
All of this is in the story, by the way. So I guess she must have lived, whether it was the D.C. area, Maryland, Virginia, I don't know, one of the burbs, or actually in D.C. But she worked for a law firm that did do government work, or had government clients. They moved here somewhere around 2020. She got active right away on board. She's with the International Institute of New England. She's on their board.
They're big.
She's on one of the advisory boards at UMass Lowell. And then she's also on some board of some Harvard organization.
When she spoke at the council thing, did she have a mask on?
I also
These are questions that needs answered. It's like right after the Harvard credential, he's like, but was she wearing a
I'm
mask?
pretty sure she must have been, right? Have I seen her on a beach shooter video out in the fresh air?
Those are funny.
I have invited her to come on and do a podcast so we can learn more about the issues that are.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
she did. What was interesting to me, she gave me a lengthy email that I didn't put the full email on there. I took some different things. She talked about looking for long-term goals rather than focusing on short-term goals. And then she mentioned the promise and the importance of the link development. And then she mentioned frontrunner cities.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, other than the city councilors who were all kind of giddy on that night where they unveiled the frontrunner city thing to us, nobody else is really talking about it. I'm talking about it. I had Mayor Danny Rourke sitting there the other day talking about it. He's talking about potentially billions of dollars of investment in Lowell. And I'm not sure the Lowell Sun knows about this yet. Pretty sure CAP doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it on, social media, Lowell Live Feed Forum. It's a positive development, so you probably won't see it on Lowell Live Feed Forum. So
that's true.
But I mean, I'm excited. This is what we've been talking about.
Hasn't Sun talked about it?
I don't think they might have mentioned the discussion about it in the story, but they never did a deep dive in to see. This is, it's the kind of thing my people might not like, right?
Your people?
Who are your people?
Because it's all the
Greeks?
my Trumpers.
Oh, yes.
But it's all about.
There are so many categories I can put Teddy in.
Leaving a better place, making better cities, climate change, sustainability, but also economic opportunity.
Resiliency is probably a big part of it.
There's a list of 17 goals that apparently Lowell already has implemented through the city or through the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. 14 of them. So that's why Lowell was such an attractive target.
Yeah.
But these people sought out Danny Rourke at this World Economic Forum.
Well, it all started from his article there, from
Capital Analytics.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, there's a group that just signed up, became Chamber of Commerce members. So all these big national/international business entities have suddenly discovered Lowell, and why this isn't a bigger deal. Other than the fact that we're just a bunch of negative fucks here.
Well, no, I think there's no real well, except
We're jaded, I think. We're like, okay, is this really going to happen?
No,
but the link stuff is happening, and
it's huge.
It's huge.
If you look at the companies they've already not like that Draper thing. Draper's a big freaking deal. We may have never heard about it only because in Lowell, like we're more interested.
Market Basket.
Again, well, yeah, Market Basket's a great story, but we'll fight over a pothole. We'll fight over a zoning ordinance or whatnot. But a $1 billion company that's doing things with NASA and AI and robotics and whatnot.
Yeah, but
can I get a parking spot in front of Elliot's hot dogs? That's what I want.
But until every homeless person has their own propane tank, that's all. Nothing else matters.
Seriously, think about how much discussion the Lowell City Council had in the last couple of years, and even the last couple of months as this front runner city thing and the link thing became known in March has been unfolding. And it's mind-numbing to me. So to hear Belinda Durant actually make that
connection,
a theme of why she's running and what the kind of things she's looking at, I'm like, okay.
I like that.
Well, she's got my ear.
But you don't have a big sample size. I mean, nobody else is running, right?
Well, Corey Belanger.
No, I mean, like, there's no other challenges. I mean, Corey was there, didn't he? He went to Toronto.
Yep, Corey was in Toronto.
They're definitely, anybody that went to that Toronto thing, any of the councilors or the other people, they're all like, they're really pumped and jacked about this thing. They really are.
They were downright giddy that night.
They were.
On the council, it was unreal to kind of see. Like, where's the crankiness? Where's the negativity? Like, somebody's got to ask. And I did ask Mayor Rourke. I'm like, there's got to be a catch.
Yeah, like, what do we have to do for that? What do we have to do for that?
Do we have to put bike lanes on every street?
I'm fine. No, but like, what do we have to do as a city? Like, do we have
I just figured it was money laundering for the Middle East, which is, by the way, I'm fine with it.
We have to build some like child trafficking tunnels at the city.
Well, we have the tunnel system from the Bents already. We're halfway there.
Is that why we want us?
I'm going to draw the line at the child trafficking tunnels, and we're not going to cover up, like they're doing in England.
Kidding.
We're not covering that up. But I'll put on my green hat and I'll start speaking woke if somebody wants to invest hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to make this city a better place, to build good quality housing like they're saying they did up in Toronto and Richmond Hill and whatnot, Regent Park, to spur commercial development. All of this is taxable from what I'm hearing. So I'll put a bike lane right in the middle of Market Street for all I care.
Good, I'm glad.
Lead it all the way out to Dalton Road and Chelmsford. I might ride my bike to and from work every
I hope they revive that trolley line idea they had from the train station to downtown.
Yeah.
That would have been, it's too bad they killed that.
Well, interesting. I haven't even thought of that. That's a great point, Betch, because it was so cost prohibitive. But would that be something that you connected because it runs all the way down to Link?
Yeah.
So imagine that you actually had a trolley running from the
train station.
From the train station.
How cost prohibitive could it be? I mean, the Transcontinental Railroad was built like with you can't build like.
Well, we had slaves and Irish immigrants back in those days. Well, it was more affordable.
We've got some cheap labor around right now. Couldn't you what's the? I mean, it's like a quarter mile. That's all you got to do to link it up. The link to link. It's even got a name for it.
Oh, I like it. The link, and that's what you call it. The trolley line, the link.
Yeah, and then the people from Boston going to the your friends that go to the hockey game can get there easier. They can hop on the train and get to the Saugus.
Maybe the PWHL would stay. Yeah. Maybe they'd love us instead of shitting on us.
But I mean, think about like just a small link from the train station.
That would help with parking too.
Yeah, just like quick trolley back and forth. I mean, it'd be great. Like if I'm like
that'd be awesome.
Oh, this is brilliant.
There's a lot of things you can do.
Tom Golden, are you listening? Batch just gave you a potential idea here.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they don't. The only thing, I just hope they don't bury any more or unbury any more highways. Whatever they did with the Lloyd overpass, I hope they don't do that again.
The big fill.
That's burying. That would be burying.
Oh yeah, because they buried the.
Yeah.
But no, I mean it's billion. It could be $1 billion or whatever it is. It's huge for the city. I think people are just skeptical because it sounds too good to be true.
And it also makes the city like more walkable too, because you're just kind of like linking people without a car downtown.
Oh, you're talking about the trolley? Yeah, the trolley.
So you're dropping people off. It's better foot traffic for businesses.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a trolley. Maybe it's a monorail.
Or golf carts.
Golf carts.
Just like
a golf cart lane.
Yeah, like the monorail idea, like Disney.
Yeah.
You hop on the monorail.
Yeah,
let's
then you
be
get onto a golf
creative.
cart.
But this is exciting stuff. But anyway, Belvedere has a as a challenger already. I don't know how many there will be in the other districts, how many legitimate ones.
Well, I can already tell
there
you,
will be, but
I already know where our endorsements are going to come from. It's pretty easy to chat that one out. The llamas, like that, the whole.
Maybe a few others that get in.
You know what? I haven't met her. I haven't read anything yet, so I'll, hold my judgment.
So that story's InsideLowell.com. I think it's called Belvedere's Ground Zero, which it always is, but this year more so than anywhere. Their district, their district. We're having a primary. There's going to be 3, 4, 5 candidates in that race, and all eyes will be watching.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Belvedere. If I was going to run in Belvedere, I would come out and say my number one goal is to get rid of Plan E and bring back. And bring strong mayor, and so Belvedere can finally be represented.
You made that prediction
I'm telling you,
on either a Power Hour or a Pod Squad.
Yeah,
back last year. And
I'll talk when we do the next Power Hour. That's gonna be one of my predictions because it's definitely like.
And I'm okay with that.
I'm not.
I'm okay with going to a strong mayor because I like people being able to elect their leader. I don't like the council.
Why don't you like it?
Because you can't have the masses make decisions. People are generally stupid.
That's what the founding fathers realized.
They were right.
But that's why they created a republic, a representative democracy.
You have to have a stopgap.
That is what it is, actually.
Yeah,
it's like representatives electing the mayor. That is what
Correct.
it is.
That used to be the electoral college elected your president. They didn't trust the general population to elect George Washington.
So like Easter Island, Easter Island was like this lush green tropical paradise where they have those big statues. The people cut down all the trees. So somebody had to cut down the last tree. It was probably democratically elected. They're like, everybody agreed to cut down the last tree. That's why you need a stopgap against
because then there's like there's like not a lot of accountability if everybody's just like, I have a little voice.
Yeah, in democracy, everybody just votes for their own self-interest. There's nobody looking at the big picture. So representational democracy, you have the potential for a stopgap. That's why
I don't disagree with you.
And if you look at these towns that have true democracy, town meeting style government, even they have instituted some level of, a republic because you can't trust, 400 people crammed into an auditorium in Drake or in Chelmsford to make billion-dollar decisions.
That's why Plan E works. And like a strong mayor, every 2 years you're going to have, what are you going to empty out? Like the change in positions and the change in vision, like it'll just be chaos. I know Belvedere misses their power, but like... They're still going to have 3 of they're going to have all the citywides and they got 4 people. You just got to convince a few others, but
it's not a majority.
It's not.
It's not 6. And sometimes you get people from Centerville making decisions, right?
Maybe they'll gerryman somehow. I don't know. I just think it's a bad idea. That strong mayor is just a terrible idea.
All right. You are tuned into the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse on this Friday, January 10th. 2025. We've got the Pod Squad joining me here. Mikaela, Hondros-McCarthy, the Hyphen, Mike Bacigalupo, Batch. We'll get back to our discussion. Just want to thank all of our Inside Lowell podcast sponsors, including Real Estate Ray Booten, who's a specific sponsor of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse. Licensed realtor in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, certified appraiser in both states as well. RealEstateRayBooten.com is the web address. Thank you as well to our friends here from WellPoint. We're coming to you from the WellPoint studios. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Washington Savings Bank, a community bank in every sense of the word. More important now than ever, isn't it? Downtown Lowell. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, quality and value at every price point. Find your perfect space with TMI. Hopefully our friends from some of those Mill Number 5 businesses have found their perfect space with TMI. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to Greater Lowell and Southern New Hampshire since 1925. Do the math. It's 2025 now, 1925, 100 years, a century of doing business here in our communities. Francis E. Prevention Insurance Agency, the agent Greater Lowell has counted on since 1982. And the Massachusetts Pirates, bringing all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football to the Mill City. I believe March 21st at the Sanger Center is their opening game. Since we started locally, let's talk about the hot topic of the week. The disaster, the dumpster fire, right? They got forest fires, wildfires in California. We got a dumpster fire that seems to have developed in the new construction of Lowell High School.
Wow, whoever could have seen this coming? What are the odds?
But the new building batch, you know, if they were telling me that we were having issues after the rehab of the Kirk building, the 100-year-old building, the Coburn building, which I believe is from the 19th century, we all expected that, and I still expect that to come. By the way, I wouldn't be patting myself on the back if I were some of these. Old buildings are better than new buildings, folks. At least,
well, they are, though, aren't they? I mean, the 1980 building's been torn down already.
They are, but there comes a point where they may have outlived their usefulness, especially as a modern school.
Listen, the roofs don't leak over there. They leak in the new gym.
I would, that's my concern. Like, even if they built a brand new school at Collie, which I think the three of us were in favor of.
Yeah.
No, I was.
What's the guarantee that roof wouldn't leak?
Oh no, I think it would have.
You were a downtowner?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what are your thoughts then on why is the new building, the gym, it's not even 2 years old. It's basically 2 years old.
Yeah.
Why is that already a disaster? What the bleep kind of construction oversight management is this?
All I can say is they must have rushed, maybe.
I think
they may have cut some corners to keep expenses down. I don't know, but I read Gilday's comment on, I think it was live feed, where people are chummy with some of the contractors, and I understand how that could happen. I can see how that could happen. Where people aren't holding other people accountable the way they should be.
So is this just another example of what I and Batch have been saying forever? You can't trust government to do anything right. Because the whole point of the MSBA, the Mass School Building Authority, was to do away with these, remember the Taj Mahal that they built? But they were, cities and towns had kind of proven they can't oversee $100 million school building projects. So the MSBA was formed. They set up a process that they already bastardized in Lowell. We know that all too well. But given that, you would think they can at least oversee it, right? That you bring in, Suffolk's not a small fry. It's not, Joe's contracting. Suffolk is a national contractor.
Well, but when you look at all the companies involved, right, have all had multiple lawsuits against them. Now, that's just that when you're that big.
That's part of the business.
It's part of the business. But I mean, clearly nowadays, that, these companies subcontract everything out. So every subcontractor along the way is going to cut corners, try to screw you over, and be in, it's just the nature of the business. Nobody knows how to build anything anymore. Part of that is
how could they not?
Well, are they incentivized to build it well, or do they know that
it's corruption and graft?
Yeah.
And so you have to be on this. You should be on this the entire way, because that if the guy doing the HVAC or whatever, I don't know who's doing it. This is just an example. If they can get away with using cheaper material that's not to spec, they're going to do it, right? So you have to have somebody there every day looking at stuff that's not. You got to really watch it. But this is what
pisses me off, because some folks will say, "Well, this falls on the city of Lowell and ultimately the city managers, Tom Golden now, Eileen Donahue before, but they should have been overseeing this." But
they're not construction professionals.
Exactly.
How are they
Suffolk
supposed to?
is the general contractor.
Yeah.
If the subcontractors are cutting corners, as you said, which I'm pretty sure you're right, Bat. Yeah. That's Suffolk's job.
Yes.
And then if Suffolk is saying, well, listen, we don't want to tap into, because ultimately this is going to come out of our bottom line. Well, that's what the project manager is for, right? That's what the architectural firm is for. There's multiple layers here, because government loves its bureaucracy. So we have multiple layers of oversight on this thing.
And multiple layers of failure.
And 2 years
and no accountability to one entity.
Well, you got to fire. I mean, I grew up with a kid. He's a nice kid, but you got to fire John Dowd. To start.
You grew up with him?
Yeah, I knew him. Yeah,
he was not happy. He's
a great kid, but I'm sorry, but
was he in charge of the project?
He's kind of overseeing. I think he's the guy from Skanska. He's running point.
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Sean Edwards, a Lowell kid, is kind of the point guy for Suffolk. He wasn't at the meeting the other night. He might have known what was coming.
Well,
right?
I'll tell you this: since this thing started, it's been a shit show since it started. You talk to some of the guys that work on this project, and they've been saying it from the get-go, right? So
what makes it a shit show? Like what?
Just the timeline. They're behind the timelines. They're running into problems. It's been a problem since it started.
Ugh, that makes
and here's the other thing, though, the building committee or whatever it is, the oversight committee. none of those people are like the city official or whoever they elected. I think it was under Donahue they put the people on, but like none of these people are construction people.
Well, I think
Or maybe
Jay's
one
an
is, right?
architect. Jay Mason's an architect, and he's on it.
Jay Mason's an architect. I know John Haley from Watermark. They do
Okay.
architectural and construction.
Yeah.
But the
But I
rest
don't
of
know
the
if they've
people
ever
are
had
like,
schools.
what do these people know? You know, it's just you need like you almost
They know how to spell their name properly on the plaque.
oh god, I hope it's not about the plaque, but like just you almost need like you hire a project manager, right? But then you almost need like somebody in the city to oversee the project manager, like
Which was discussed.
yeah.
And a clerk of the works. But I'll tell you, I knew the clerk of the works who oversaw the project in the 80s. And it was part of the crew that then brought in somebody because the 80 high school thing was already a disaster. That roof was leaking within like a year.
What's with the roof leaking?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I'm not a professional roofer, but like that's the primary
with modern
function of a
technology,
roof
yeah.
is to not leak.
Keep the water out.
Like that's like the base. Like
But they
I know.
screwed up
You know?
the 80s project.
And that wasn't
and-
even a flat roof. That was it had a pitch to it.
Yeah.
It still leaked.
like
But they thought, okay, well, we can't trust the cities to oversee this, and I get that. Who's Paul Sear now is the guy, Paul St. Cyr.
Paul
Like,
St. Cyr, yeah.
okay, like you really want to put him in charge of a $400 million project when he's also got to worry about 25 other schools
No, he's got
and all
too
the
much
other
to
cities?
do.
But it's too much.
We
that
have a
was
lot
the whole
of-
point
we have a lot of
Skanska,
local-
Perkins,
yeah.
Eastman, and whatnot.
we have a lot of local roofers here, like in the city, like KMP. Shout out to KMP Construction. Love you, Kyle. But like,
Can we make them a sponsor of the Hyphen?
but at least they know. Yeah. Oh my God, maybe. But at least they know about roofs and like I don't know, pull one of those guys in to just be like a sanity check
Yeah.
person.
I mean, it would have been great to have like Eric Gitche would have been a great clerks of the works for something like that. You know what I mean? Like somebody that
Oh yeah, yeah.
like somebody that's going to dive into it and look into all this stuff, or like just somebody that's got enough expertise and is crazy enough to look at every detail. Like that's
Someone who is not going to let any details slip through the
right.
cracks, right?
And do we have that? Like I don't know. I mean, what is the? I mean, even like like Tom Golden, like he's been in Boston,
he's
in
been
the
a
State
big
House, and a real
for
estate guy.
30
What does he
years,
know
yeah.
about? There's nobody around that knows about this stuff. So I don't know.
But that's the whole point. That's why Skanska is making good money to be the project manager.
They make more
Perkins
money.
Eastman,
They make more money.
I think is the architect there. And Suffolk is getting their cut.
Wait, so
again,
which one's the project manager? Is it Skanska?
I think Skanska's the project manager. Perkins Eastman is the architect. And the architect on any development is supposed to kind of keep an eye out for the owner as well.
All right, well, the project manager is the one at fault then.
And then Suffolk, the general contractor, again, Suffolk's not out there, painting the walls. They're getting subcontractors
Yeah.
and whatnot, but they should, I don't know, pick a paint that's not going to peel within 2 years.
Yeah.
But at the
Find
end
a
of the
door
day,
that's the handle's not going to fall off
but I'd wanna
and
see-
trap somebody in a room.
Like,
so that gets into incentives, right? Like, is it better for them to cut corners in the beginning and then worry about it in 2 years
Yes.
and hire lawyers to
Yes.
combat the lawsuits that come after that for 12
Absolutely.
years? Or is it, what's the cheaper incentive
That's a
here?
plan.
So now you get us back though to that argument, and I'd love to, I hope Dowd gets pushed at some point to the level where he says, "Hey, you guys wanted us to build here. We warned you, or tried to warn you behind the scenes, and then we shut up the woman who warned everybody publicly, Marianne Williamson, who said, yeah, you don't."
Marianne Williamson? Isn't that?
She was the woman who famously said, "New it's a much better scenario to build a brand new building and then populate it when it's done."
Oh, okay. She
than to
shares the
go
name
in
with the
piecemeal."
Democratic presidential candidate.
And maybe it's Marianne Williams or Windsor. And then at the next meeting, they got rid of her. She no longer was allowed a speaking part.
oh, jeez.
But, if this is the case, Dowd should say it. Because I got a hunch that he's getting pushed to the point where he may say it if it's true. Still, your job, you've known what the task was. This decision's been known for 8 years now, since 2017, 7.5 years. Build a bleeping gym, the easiest part of the build, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Bleachers that when rolled out, first block entry and exit ways.
Well, that's on the architect.
They scratch the floor.
Right, that's on the architects.
Who buys the bleachers? Who manufactures bleachers that scratch
the floor.
floors?
I mean, they're getting pulled out and put back all the time.
Right.
Like,
This isn't This isn't the biblical times where they were building all these things, where they were building pyramids flawlessly with technology. Oh, the sun's up there. It's like, you've got computer-generated graphics, and you should know when bleachers are going to scratch a floor.
You should think about the utility of the item.
You don't buy these bleachers. You don't put them in front of doors and floors. And
someone wasn't thinking.
It's the whole thing to me is like, can we trust government to oversee anything properly? Well, or the big companies that government gives millions of dollars to
you
oversee things?
And I think so. You have to assume that private industry is going to try to screw you over, and so you have to assume come from a position of
they're motivated by profits.
Yeah, they're going to try. They'll F you any chance they get. So you have to assume they're corrupt and proceed accordingly. You know, and I will say, like the chip and paint thing.
You need like a Greek mom there just to point out everything, or a father just like overseeing everything, being like, "Why are you doing it that way?"
My father hovering over the dishwasher repair guy. I go, "What are you doing over there?"
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
Why are you doing it this way?
Well, like I guarantee, like whatever the paint that was supposed to be on that wall isn't what they bought. They probably bought like the cheaper paint, or they didn't prep it. Like whoever did that painting probably cut some corners, and they should check on that. What happened?
And we saw this with a big dig, right? They started to run over in cost. So what they do? They started like watering down the cement.
Yeah.
And you had a collapse that killed a woman.
Yeah. I mean, this is what happens. You know this happens.
My God.
You have to assume that the people doing the work are going to try to be incompetent. Never assume anything is going to go the way it's supposed to do. And so that's how you I think that's how you oversee it. Don't trust anybody.
Before we fly out west to the disaster in California, you wanted to talk a little bit about buses, Batchy. You have an idea as to why Lowell's transportation budget might already be running over?
Yeah, because they stop at every freaking corner. And it's not just Lowell.
It's like you and Lee get together.
Why? Is he on
Lee
this
hates
too?
the bus.
I'm telling you. So I was in this. All right, this wasn't in Lowell. I was driving through Chelmsford, and I was on I forget the name of the road, but you go like in the stupid rotary that goes to the center of Chelmsford, and every freaking
Chelmsford Street.
Every other corner they were stopping.
Yeah.
I'm like, shouldn't we have? First of all, they shouldn't stop on main roads, and it should be every like quarter mile.
They should stop on main roads, but like every half mile.
Screw that. Let the traffic through, or pull over. Let the line of cars go. Like these buses. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and it's no wonder they're like.
I see. I live on Dalton Road, and sometimes I'm taking my kids home from school, and if you get behind a bus, every single house, you see the moms and dads. They can't like have a central bus station. This is why we have an obesity problem. Nobody will walk. By the way, there was a Boston stand-up comedian, Paul D'Angelo, who did a bit on this. Where he said, if you get caught behind a school bus in the morning, just go back home. You're not getting to work.
That's so funny.
Because they've turned into yellow limousines. But I think that's why the transportation budget is going over now, because the bus companies are charging limousine rates instead of bus rates for stopping. Hey, stop at every house.
Well, the other thing too is like
why?
And then you see parents pull up in their cars and they drop their kid off and they wait for the bus. This happens on my street or at the top of my street. They'll pull up, they'll wait for the bus to come, and then they drive away. Drive your kid to school, right? Like, why is this kid taking the bus, right? Like, drive him yourself. I'm telling you, get rid of it.
I'm with you. I am with you.
You know, if you live within a mile of the school, you shouldn't get transportation. And if
they're driving from their house at the end of the street to the top of the street.
Yeah.
Yep.
For the bus to pick them up at the top of the street and then go. And how dumb is that? How dumb is that?
And by the way, in neighborhood schools and you got to go back to neighborhood schools. I mean, whatever the issue is, like, oh, there's not this. God forbid, there's like 50% poor. Like, who cares? Just put everybody like close to their house and make sure all the schools are good. That's all you're going to do. Instead of this, think about the whole concept of whatever is district schools. That they did it because some schools, the education wasn't equitable. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So instead of saying, hey, let's improve the schools, we'll just shift people around and some people get to go to the shit schools. Yeah, exactly. That's what they did.
We throw a couple of rich kids into the schools and it fixes the problem.
So now it's fair.
Now everybody sucks.
Now everybody has an equal chance of having a shitty education. Like, that's what they did. It's stupid.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. You saw it. Every time the subject gets brought up, those poor counselors or school committee members get their head bashed in. The activists, suddenly they forget about the homeless and they find a new
oh God!
Some of these activists.
You know what it is? Because people don't realize that everybody, this is the problem. This is the biggest problem. Parents all think that their child is special. The reality is they're only special to you. The majority of children are average to below average and should be treated as such.
All children are
my children are
good.
Yeah, you may be right about other people, but my children
No, they're special to you, but they're not that special. So society should don't treat them all like they're special. Some of them are special, but most of them are average.
I think I'm not advocating kids walking to school nowadays. You've got with all this child sex trafficking and stuff going on.
Listen, that's all.
But can they at
inflated.
least walk to the bus stop a block, 2 blocks away, like we did back in our day? And my mom and dad, you can go with them. Like you see them in Lowell, they get out there. You don't even have to take your pajama pants off, and you can still go away with
market
your kid
basket attire is fine. But no, in the 70s, right? In the 70s, the world was way more dangerous. People were getting murdered all the time. There was you could drive drunk. You could do all kinds of stuff. It was fun. But now the world is way safer than it used to be, and yet we protect these children. They could walk a mile.
I think in the 70s, though, there were probably, and I don't know, I wasn't there, but I think there was a lot more of community involvement, and you knew your neighbors, and now everybody just goes to their little box
but
and doesn't really talk to people, and but I think you had more of kind of communities
because
looking
you had
out
neighborhood
for
schools.
Maybe that was part of it. Maybe that was part of it.
Because you used to go to school with the kid next to you and the kid on the other side.
And you knew the parents.
That's how you knew parents. Now now everybody's going everywhere. There's no way to connect, and that's why things seem
that could be part of it.
Yeah. So for equity or whatever it is, you've ruined neighborhoods in the sense of community. So get rid of it, man.
You're watching the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse.
That's my rant.
Mikaela Hondros-McCarthy to the left. Mike Bacigalupo to the right, the Hyphen and Batch, the Pod Squad. They're here with us. We got to do this regularly, by the way, guys.
Yeah, this is so fun.
We were. You already told me we were.
Well, we got to schedule. We haven't scheduled another one, but we need to do this regularly. Some feedback from yesterday's show before we move out to California. Marty Laurie chimed in. Marty was on Tuesday, by the way.
Nice.
Our most watched
Marty's predictions.
Inside Pulse, his prediction. But this is a great interview, Teddy and Jerry. We had Jerry Nutter on yesterday. I missed Jerry's take on the school department. I don't want to start any trouble, Marty Laurie said.
I love when
Great.
I don't want to start any trouble, but this all could have been avoided if the school was built at Collie. Oops, I didn't want to go there. Great job, guys.
I think we would have the same
Laurie
problem if it was out of Collie.
Yeah.
Again, I apologize if I butcher this name, but it was a Facebook comment. Quinlong Depp, a suggestion, maybe every now and then interview a school committee member, whether current or former, on the podcast whenever possible. Jerry Nutter was a former member, but yes, that is, we will interview current, former school committee members. We will talk to the superintendent of schools, Liam Skinner. We're gonna be doing this every day,
That's
5 days a
great.
week. That's a lot of show content. Michael Breda says, another great podcast today. I hope you were taking extensive notes. I do take notes during the podcast, by the way. First of all, because I need to find a snippet that we need to put on as the tease. But programming reminder for next week, we're going to talk to Frank McCabe. He'll be joining us Monday, host of the Can I Be Frank show. City Manager Tom Golden on Wednesday. State Auditor Diana DeZoglio joins us by Zoom.
Nice.
Did you see Did you see Speaker Mariano's commentary when asked about, are you going to give her
Did you say, was he we don't have to...
The
level of compliance
is in the eye of the beholder, or something to that effect. Where's the Attorney General of the state?
Come on, she's a joke.
Well, I mean, isn't her job to enforce the laws? And isn't arguably the most sacred law any law passed by a ballot by people?
Yep.
So this was passed 72% of the people.
Yep.
3/4 of Massachusetts voters said we want her, Diana DeZoglio, to audit the legislature.
She's busy protecting illegal immigrants.
Shouldn't the Attorney General say, hey, either get that? How about the U.S. District Attorney? Can we bring Andrew Lelling back into the Department of Justice office and look into the fact that there may be some talk that he may come back, that Trump may appoint him again?
He was good.
The current guy announced his retirement, or his resignation. It takes a while. So if Donald Trump comes back and puts Andrew Lelling in there, maybe Andrew wants to come look at, Beacon Hill and say, these are laws, you have to enforce them. Since Massachusetts' chief law enforcement officer doesn't seem to have the cojones to do it herself.
Do you still, are you going to have the sheriff back? What was his name? 𝐓𝐡𝐞
At some point, we'll get Sheriff Katusha.
He was great. I used to love listening to him.
He was
That
good.
guy. Is he still there?
Yeah, he made news this week. They put a Narcan vending machine in the lobby.
What?
Jesus, really?
They put a Narcan vending machine in the lobby of the prison. They sent out a press release about that. Now, can I ask something?
What?
Why in a lobby? Are we worried about visitors to the jail or like the receptionist ODing?
Maybe.
You got a problem, right?
How many?
Here's a bigger question.
Well, how many
And why
quarters-
is it a vending machine? Like, yeah,
How many quarters does it take?
I guess it's free.
Yeah,
Like if
okay.
you need it, you just go over and it's free. You can get it out. I don't know if you have to press B4 or you have to
You have to wait for the swirly
But
things to.
here's a question I have, and this is maybe because I've never worked in government, but isn't the problem the fact that dangerous drugs are getting into your prison?
Yeah, because you only need
yeah, I
Narcan
mean-
if you're having the drugs.
Right, if you've overdosed.
Yeah.
Well, how are people overdosing?
there's drugs in
Who's
jail.
bringing the? Yeah, okay, but who's bringing them in? Can we
we?
stop them coming in? Are visitors bringing them in? Are the inmates bringing them in?
Maybe
Are
it's
the
to take-
guards bringing
Maybe
them
it's
in?
to take. Maybe you get released from prison and you take one on the way out just in case.
Like a
Okay.
Like a parting gift?
like a take home bag.
Yeah.
Narcan vending
Just a
machine.
question. Just a question. Why are drugs getting into prison?
There's got to be a reason. So yeah, you should have him back.
Well, let's bring Sheriff Katusha back. He may not want to come back, but California.
So sad.
The aerial shots the days after now, I mean,
Apocalyptic.
it's bad. It's like all these
It looks-
Walking Dead movies
It looks
have come to
apocalyptic.
life in Hollywood, in the richest neighborhoods of California. And the stories coming out now about the incompetence of government, the inaction of government, ignoring warnings about
They didn't
this
have rain for.
potential.
They didn't have rain.
They didn't
for
have
weeks.
rain, they say, for 9 months
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something in that area. But they were warned about it.
Well, it's going to happen eventually. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. Like it's the Santa Ana winds. They've been lucky for years that it hasn't happened, and it's just their luck ran out.
Well, they have had fires. It just hasn't been like of this magnitude. And if there's things that you can do to make it less bad, like sweeping up clearing,
Or not
doing
build,
like
not build houses and
prescribed
canyons
warrants.
and burn.
Unfortunately,
Well, no, people are gonna
the
build
guy
the
who
houses
said
there.
that 7 years ago had orange hair. He was standing right next to
I know,
Governor
I-
Newsom at the time and said, "Clear the brush, you moron."
I mean,
There's also water management.
the water
issues.
management is
The
another
fire
thing.
hydrants. There was a great clip on Twitter.
Oh, that was
Thank
great.
God for Elon Musk.
That's not the
But
one you said? That was great.
The guy who ran for mayor and got defeated
And lost.
and lost his house now.
Yeah.
He's saying the firefighters don't have water. They're connecting to the hydrants and
saw
no
that,
water's
yeah.
coming out. And the news anchor decides to fact check him in real time. Despite what he's saying, no firefighter has told us that. Now let's go to our reporter, Jane something, out in
standing in
the
it.
field. She's
Yeah.
standing in the fire. She goes, "Well, firefighters are telling me there's no
just
water
told-
coming
yeah.
out of the hydrant." Maybe this is why you should just read your teleprompter and not be a fact checker.
Yeah.
And whoever's putting your facts into the teleprompter should maybe go sweep a bathroom rather than being a news writer.
So this brings up also like the kind of like misinformation stuff that is like a huge threat, I think, in my eyes too. Like so you have like, information coming out that these insurance policies, the insurance companies canceled a bunch of policies. Well, and then you have, they canceled the policies because the state of California was not doing what they should have been doing to make sure that the houses were
They
protected.
warned the state of California that
They were-
this
yeah.
brush is going to cause a problem
So
next
it's like,
fire.
well, whose fault was it really? Was it like the state and then you say, they cut the budget. And then you read somewhere else, well, they didn't cut the budget. They just moved 50 million somewhere else. And you're like, what is the truth
They bought
here?
Narcan vending machines.
But it's really hard to get to the truth and to speak with any authority on the matter because you don't really know what's going on.
Because you used to be able to rely
On the news.
mainstream media, establishment media,
Yes.
to tell you the truth. And now they're not.
Yeah.
Now they're just propaganda arms of government. They're not. And when they're fact checking you, they are incorrectly fact checking you, which only further erodes the trust that people have in them. So unfortunately, social media Now, not
Yeah.
everybody on social media is right. There's people who are wrong. There's people who's right. Those roles flip from time to time. But somewhere you can find the truth.
Yeah. You just have to hunt for it.
You have to
and
hunt for it.
It's a lot of work.
And you have to figure out who you can trust. But there are, reliable people out there that aren't all that wrong. Journalists who've left mainstream media who are now doing legitimate work on X.
Yeah.
And now, Zuckerberg, thankfully, is now copying it. I've seen the memes.
He'll
of
do
him,
whatever and-
looking over and copying,
Yeah.
Musk's model. But, the whole community notes thing, as opposed to the fact checkers, so Facebook and Instagram,
Yeah.
Meta.
Did you
whatever
listen
they're
to his
calling
statement?
themselves. I did.
Oh, I can't listen to that guy talk.
I still think he's trying to stay out of jail.
He's trying to stay out of jail.
Interference in
Exactly.
2020.
Well, they made him do it. The prior administration made him do what he was doing,
Well,
and now
he should have had a spine.
Yeah.
Have a spine.
I agree.
Elon Musk had a spine.
Well, yeah.
As much as
Well, he
people
didn't come
hate
in
him.
and buy. He didn't come in and buy until and I think they knew he wasn't gonna go for whatever was going on.
Well, it'd be nice if some of our leaders
Jack Dorsey,
had a little spine,
Yeah.
and told the government no. And if you keep forcing me to, I'm going to expose you, which is again what Musk did. Musk let out the Twitter files. He handed them all to Matt Taibbi.
It's a shame that this is what it's come.
But this is what we've come to in the
Yeah.
United States of America.
I know.
Everybody laughs about Russian propaganda and the TASS news agency and Chinese propaganda. It's like
We're in it.
we're no better.
We're in
But the difference is we pretend to be legitimate.
Yeah.
This whole thing now reminds me of, so in the late 80s, early 90s, Florida had a couple of big hurricanes, and I think it was North Carolina. There were a couple of huge, devastating hurricanes, and then they redid the building codes. And so the houses down there used to be, there was no strapping. So now they've, however they build them, the codes changed, and they don't have as much loss as they used to do. What should happen in California is that they start, changing the building codes.
So they already have. Did you see Adam Carolla's rant?
Yes.
So he was so all of these houses that got completely demolished, he was kind of it's going to take forever to rebuild because you really can't rebuild. You can't pull a permit. It takes a year to pull a permit. If you want to build a pool, it has to be double shelled. It has to be basically an oil tank.
Yeah.
Because of but you're right. If you're going to build an
affordable housing, by the way, all these.
Yeah.
So I think I have a theory on this. All right. So insurance, right? Cheap insurance makes it easy to build in risky areas. And then and a lot of these people will build a more expensive home because it's insured. So you get rid of the insurance, and you've got all these permit issues and all this other stuff. It may end up making the land less valuable because of all these hurdles.
It should be the least value. If you think about it, land in valleys or on hills that are prone to wildfires shouldn't be all that valuable, yet all the Hollywood celebrities run there. Same thing with building on the coast, right?
Turn it into public land. Turn it into public land.
People want to build on the coast. Right? Oh, I got a beachfront home.
Exclusive, yeah.
Okay, but then don't complain when that hurricane comes in your beachfront homes.
Well,
Same
it
with
is
Florida.
still sad. These are people's homes. Billy Crystal lived in his house for 47 years. It's
I know,
sad.
but
it is sad.
It's sad when somebody whatever. It is sad.
Steve Gutenberg, by the way, hero. He was helping everybody.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well, I feel bad for him because he probably doesn't have any more money coming in.
He gets royalties from that police academy.
Yeah. The 3 Men and a Baby. It Takes Two.
Yeah,
he's the best.
Don't weep for Steve Gutenberg.
I weep for him. He was very active community member, helping his neighbors. He had very nice messaging.
If you look back in before the mid 1800s or whatever it was, people didn't live on the beach. You know why? Because it floods and it moves and it's whatever. Before, we've created insurance and everything else.
Ownership of.
And then the wealthy decided they wanted to wake up and see the sunrise or the sunset.
Yeah, so
every day and every night, and
instead of walking to the beach or riding their bike to the beach in public land that can be enjoyed by everybody, you have people's individual ownership of this beautiful property.
Right, and even the fire management, back in the day, they used to, was it Woodsy Howell, Smokey the Bear, every fire. Oh no, Woodsy was Smokey. They'd put out every forest fire. Well, what happened is the amount of fuel kept building up until the fires became massive. And so they've changed their ways of looking at it. A lot of this is probably, these brush fires are natural. The level of it is probably, it's been exacerbated by bad decisions in policymaking.
Yeah, it's more expensive now because they're taking out hundreds and thousands of homes rather than the one or two people that built.
Right. You never should have built that there. And at that scale with those materials and whatever.
But see, that's what the oligarchs, they're smart. You know, they then create this thing called climate change. So to get poor people who live inland to subsidize their seawalls, their new sand barriers.
Well, I would never.
And then when things go wrong, to have FEMA come in and repair
climate
it.
change.
How much money did FEMA give the people in North Carolina?
$750 a person.
And if they had a Trump sign, they took them a while to get to see the FEMA agent. How quickly do you think Gavin Newsom's going to respond to
This will be
to Hollywood?
They will,
right? Now they better hurry up because come January 20th, Big Bad Orange is going to be in charge of FEMA.
Biden already said that the federal government would cover relief efforts, but I don't think
for rich people who decided to build houses in fire zones.
I don't think he was going to cover like rebuild efforts, but I think it was the like sending people in. Like,
with the big floods on the Mississippi, and then people would rebuild in a flood zone. You know, like
right.
Let's build our house next to the levee. Like,
look at New Orleans. I was reminded of this with the terrorist attack in New Orleans, but they rebuilt that whole area, which was 2005. When it all just flooded and the devastation. So what those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. There's money to be made in New Orleans. Let's keep building there.
Here's my big question. With all the technology and all the like AI and all this amazing stuff that we have, like how, and like the insurance companies know they're the best risk assessors ever. Like that's what their job is. That's how they make money. How did this happen? And also, like, we have drones and stuff. Like, why can't we have firefighting drones that are like come in by the thousands that just like dump water all over the place?
That would have made a difference.
Yeah, because we're too busy flying them over East Coast cities.
But like, I don't
to get people to think they're UFOs.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we're continuing all this technology in the name of making things better for humans, in the name of like helping humans live better lives. But we can't do these basic things with the technology.
Well, hey, I would tell you, don't build there again.
Yeah,
that's what they would say. Because you put it all in. That was a bad idea. Don't do it again. That's what it would say.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like this, I think building codes are like clear the brush, do this and that. There's probably like, why wasn't there a buffer between like the last house and whatever? Like there's things you could do, but
it's crazy.
They'll learn and then they'll forget.
All right. Before we wrap things up, the Pod Squad, their first appearance on the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse. And it's a Pod Squad tradition, Mikaela. We end with words of wisdom, words of kindness.
This is the
from
tradition?
the Hyphen. So here's what message would you like to leave our Daily Pulse audience with on this Friday, January 10th?
I would just say 2025 is already very difficult. You know, it's, you know, you're going to have differing opinions and people about the climate change, like about a lot of stuff. Just remember, we're all humans. We're all just trying our best. When you're in traffic behind a bus, just calm down a little bit. Just try to be like, you know, don't beep the horn.
Your kid's average.
Don't yell at children. Just, you know, just remember we're all trying our best. Can you yell at the mom in
the pajama pants? And not gonna yell at the kids?
Put some clothes on.
Just keep it, you know, just let it out. Put on a song or something. Let out your emotions that way. Don't, you know, just be nice to people. Try your best.
A kinder, gentler.
Be nice to yourself.
Nation.
Yes.
I think I've heard that somewhere before.
Oh, yes. I like the Hondros hug to end the show.
The Hondros hug. That's what we'll call it. All right. There it is. The Hondros or the Hyphen hug.
Yeah. The Hyphen hug. There we go.
You know, that's what we need the sponsor for. We'll get a sponsor for the Hyphen hug.
There you go.
We'll
get my pillow. We'll get my pillow.
That poor guy's still losing lawsuit. Mike, what's his name? Mike Lindell or whatever. All right. Well, Mikaela, awesome to have you here. Batch, great to have you here. You've got some Power Hour podcasts coming up in a week or two. You got another dating show, another Tinder dating show.
I think we renamed it.
Did you?
I forget what we called it though.
Must have been a great name.
I'm calling it Tinder. And
whatever it was.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining us here as well on the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse, keeping our fingers on the pulse of Lowell and the world around. Today we went all the way out to California to shit on them. I love it. I miss doing this on a daily basis. Leave your feedback on YouTube, we'll read some of your feedback Monday morning when we return with Frank McCabe, host of Can I Be Frank? Again, reminder, Tom Golden will join us next week. State Auditor Diana DeZoglio, she's fired up.
Oh, nice. I can't wait.
Don't fire up the Sicilian, Greek, and part Hispanic girl. You don't want to mess with her. But I'm gonna light some fire. I'm gonna throw some kerosene on that. Plenty of other surprises for you as well. Everybody have a wonderful weekend and stay safe, stay warm, everybody.